and welcome to our Swiss Re studio here in Zurich. It's a real pleasure to host you today. My name is Yannick Kiven. I'm a global analytic partner at Swiss Re. Today we will discuss about the positive impact of digitalization, technology and data for society, and we will particularly focus on the opportunity and challenge of embedded insurance, looking into embedded health in particular. So I'm really pleased to host today in our studio two very well-known insurtech leaders worldwide. Starting with Sabine, it's a real pleasure to welcome you at our studio here, and such a well-known insurtech influencers. Can you tell us a bit more about what you currently do and the role you play within this embedded insurance ecosystem?
Thank you very much, Yannick. Yes, I'm Sabine van der Linden, and I actually am the CEO and managing partner of Alchemy Crew. Okay. Alchemy Crew is a venture lab. So we build venture labs for, established players like yourself. And we do that in two ways. We do R&D and we do commercialization. So either pure R&D, so research, on-demand research, or commercialization, so learning to work faster and better with startups.
Excellent.
In addition to that, we also do a lot of, I would say, social media branding work, and also work with organizations like yours and Sébastien to find places where there are gaps and find new opportunities to drive value for customers, consumers in the world, and actually deal with the protection gap that Swiss Re is very well adverse on.
Indeed. Thank you, Sabine. Well, Sébastien, it's great to have you here. You recently moved from Shanghai to Brussels, scaling your success that you had in China now globally. So can you tell us a bit more about your company, the CareVoice, and where do you see CareVoice playing a role into this ecosystem?
Thank you, Yannick. So I'm the CEO of CareVoice. We are a global embedded health leader that enables insurers to engage with their customers through configurable user journey and leveraging an open health ecosystem. So why does it matter? Actually, I think health became, if not the highest, but really high priority for consumers, for employees, for everyone. And actually, insurers maybe a decade ago started to combine some digital-based health services with insurance. But there is, I think now, with the boom of digital health, really a wealth of opportunities for insurance to embrace embedded health, meaning bringing relevant health services to their customers in one unique, single integrated experience. So we've seen some digital carriers, being quite active from day one, such as Oscar, Alan in health space or ULife, to really differentiate themselves with such health value, whatever easy medical navigation, mental health services, rewarding you for your physical activities. But actually, most insurers and traditional insurers struggle unless they can work with some tech enablers and companies like CareVoice with CareVoice OS, which is the first health engagement operation system for insurers. Actually, we started from Hong Kong, Shanghai, and now we expanded across all the regions. We worked initially with 20 insurers, but we really work with a few major insurers now to bring embedded health solutions to 3 million life and health customers. And really glad to be here today because we see players like Swiss Re being also a strong driving force of transforming the industry and make embedded health adopt more widely.
Excellent. A real pleasure to have both of you here in our studio. So the way we will structure the discussion today, if you're okay, is first to discuss a bit about the overall opportunity of embedded finance, then deep dive into embedded health, where do we see the trends and the success and the opportunities, challenge. Then we will move into another part where we go more into the scalability. So what are the success factors to enable companies across the ecosystem to scale into embedded health? Before we conclude, is it good for you?
Yes, good.
Let's carry on. So it's not new. It's been now 2-3 years that embedded finance, embedded insurance, it's very trendy in all the conferences that the three of us attend very regularly. We actually, together with iptQ, which is our B2B2C value proposition here at Swiss Re, we sponsored a recent report on looking at embedded insurance 2.0. It's free online. I really encourage you to have a look. Looking at the opportunities and challenge of the all embedded insurance value proposition. The research that we did in this report suggests that embedded insurance 2.0, as it's called, could actually address 60% of non-life insurance in the coming years and 30% of life insurance. So we're speaking here about really massive opportunity. Something that also we covered in our report, Embedded Health, that we supported earlier this year with both of you as the author and also Matt from Sona, is basically we see clearly embedded insurance as a mean to address the protection gap, as you just mentioned, making insurance more affordable and deliver a stronger business outcome, but also realizing the huge potential to increase access and the use of unique data set, better manage risk, better understand the risk that we onboard with this data available with the consent of the customers throughout this ecosystem. So unique data set that help us to better understand the customer needs, to craft the right product or services at the right point of time within the journey. And for us, reinsurer, where we're really interested is to derive from this data risk insight to go into a new risk pool that were not addressed before because of the lack of insight or understanding, but also doing better on the current risk pool that we cover today with a better data-driven risk insight. So on that, it was great to collaborate, by the way, on the Embedded Health report earlier with the both of you and Matt. Sabine, what are the key white papers takeaway for you?
So for me, first, I would like to start, Yannick, with just reminding everyone about embedded finance.
Yes.
And so it's about financial services being mixed with non-financial services. So imagine you go and buy your shopping, in my case, might be Waitrose or Marks and Spencer. Once upon a time, I could buy...
You're London-based, yeah?
I am London-based.
We can see now.
And so I could actually find, products around my credit card or, getting a new credit card or insurance at the counter, at the checkout. And so you have a retailer giving you access to financial services products. And in 2018, actually, with the European Payment Directive, this became much more widely available. So from financial services, so embedded finance, we then move into embedded insurance, which is about now adding insurance to the credit card to actually your shopping basket in some ways. And the interesting thing when I look at the numbers is that when you look at young ventures, for the research and for the report, we saw that $32 billion have been invested so far, let's say for the past 10 years, in embedded finance startups.
Wow,
including
great.
Insurance and including healthcare.
Yes.
Check the numbers just before coming here. Now it's around 42 billion.
Wow, already in a few months.
Just in a few months. And what you will find is that whilst last year we had probably 9 billion on investment, this year is going to be 10 billion. So it's going to be pretty break-even. And this is probably the only market in fintech which is going to stay still. Fintech is going to go down, insurtech is going to go down in investment by around 30% this year. So when you look at the characteristic, alternative finance, it's around 11 billion, followed by banking tech, which was around 7 billion. And then you also have payment, actually, the separate payment, which is around, I think, 7 billion. And the fourth is insurance, which is around 1 billion. So you actually start seeing that organizations, startups, and corporates and investors are realizing that there is an opportunity in embedded across different markets because the customer needs it. And the customer needs it because they find it often difficult to understand the product and services which are offered to them. And technology today allows us to commoditize, I would say, or democratize and monetize services in a much better way.
Yeah, thank you. That's very good insight. Sebastian, on your side, coming now into health and embedded health in particular, with your role of orchestrator, if I understood well, of all these services provided to the end customer, what would you see as the best practice and to succeed, to engage with customer and to provide the right services at the right moment of time, while also managing all this risk that we're speaking about?
Yeah, so I think maybe good to come first, what's the scope around embedded health? And I would say embedded health is about inserting a health service or expanding a health service into a non-health offering. And so the scope could be pretty broad because you see it's around addressing the consumer health need along their journey. So from prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and follow-ups. But it's also about how to cater to different populations. More health conscious people, maybe willing to be supported around their physical or nutrition activities. People with some, around mental health could be just as simple as stress issue, but also more severe conditions. It could be also how to get access to alternative medical services delivery, right? Making more efficient. And then you have subpopulation like elderlies or even young kids who may need different ways. So ultimately, there is a true value from a consumer angle if you can help make it much more convenient for people, bringing this with confidence on how to be healthier, how to access to services, and ultimately whether it could be covered by my insurance or at a more affordable cost. So what's in for insurers, and then what could be the challenge to step in? And first is really about you mentioned the protection gap, so definitely about acquisition of customers, because you start to have a value proposition that goes beyond just a risk, but really helping people with their health on a daily basis, but also be more tailored to different customer needs. And then you can unlock new way to reach those customers because you can go where those customers are. So that, I think, a first big value on really growth of the insurance. And then it's really about retention of customers, because usually insurers remain quite far from their customers. So how you have much more touch points and really being able to engage frequently with those customers so that they remain, with you along the way. And then you can start to accumulate very interesting data, of course, provided that you, and it's some of the challenge of ensuring in terms of data protection for consumers, but you accumulate data about consumers so you can profile better the risk of the consumer and then influence that risk, leading to less claims, but also potentially new products, design, new service offering. And ultimately, you also digitize the whole customer experience, so you drive operation costs down, right? Which again, enabling that more affordable offering to customers. So for sure, there are some barriers to be adopted and to scale. So we've seen a few interesting points. And we mentioned earlier on point solution, and it's true that some insurers tend to start with a very specific health tech. Okay, let's bring a telemedicine, or let's work with that mental health. But ultimately, that's creates challenge to scale. It's usually delivered in silo outside the customer experience. Is only for specific plans. So how you can have a more holistic approach, and depending on who you are servicing, you can scale those solutions.
So adapt the services based on your customer needs. That could be quite micro as well, yeah. So do you use, is it only data that help you to segment this understanding of what kind of health services the customer needs? Or is there also specific technology that enable company like yours or insurers to crack it?
I think there is one capability around a good engagement framework, because you can pull together a set of services and you can have some assumptions about who may need what in your different tier of customers, but ultimately is also how the end user engage with your app. So what goal they want to pursue, right? There are different pillar or different dimension in health that they may want to improve or be supported with. So having that loop with the end user around, okay, which area, what do you want to improve? And then based on that, derive task, content, services, and even go to rewarding the customers along the journey, so that helping him to keep improving or making more efficient to consume services. So that lead to this data privacy and security and how you help insurers to have a better understanding of what they can do, how they can do it really in a pure, safe way, but also with the right level of consent from the consumers, and what the value for the consumers. And this, we see also some differences in those markets, but I think it's going to come more and more. And ultimately, it's really about also leadership decision. We've seen a lot of try that has been done, which is good for building the foundation and the willingness of insurers to go. So small initiative, different market, different insurers. But I think now it's really about, like, some insurers are really taking very clear strategic decision, 3-5 year plan. This is something that they want to do. They want to make it happen and scale across markets. So that's also a super important way or a factor to scale.
It's great to see that it's finally coming to our industry. Thank you.